Right then, lads, welcome back to 99 Sport. My name is Cossy, and it has finished Manchester United 0-1 to Wolves. Absolutely, really well deserved lead and victory to Wolves. Manchester United, they offered nothing in that game. And I'm going to say, if you're a Manchester United fan, you must be gutted. You must be really angry with your team, because this is the first time I've seen Manchester United. It's not the first time, really, this season. I've seen them crap all this season, probably. I mean, the better half of the season, they've been so very poor. But again, this is a time I've seen them really, lost in the game. They had no connection between the games. There was no leadership on the pitch. There was no creativity. They had nothing in that game. I think Ralf Rangnick is trying to teach something that is so hard for these players. It's good. I think he's a good manager. He's very good at at developing products of football. But is he teaching something they can understand in this short period of time, and then execute it within a very short period of time as well, before the season ends? Can they make to Champions League? Because right now, Arsenal fans must be on top of their world. Now, Manchester United are they're 4 points behind Arsenal with a game in hand. That means even if you win that game, you do not get ahead of Arsenal, and it's almost the same story, with the top three, because again, now the gap between Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool and Manchester City is now bigger. They can't dream about winning the title anymore. It's gone. We're going to be talking about this game, but I think as a Manchester United fan, let me know what you think about this game, what you thought about the game, exclusively, objectively as a fan, because I think, there is no one to blame other than the players and the manager. He doesn't start Bruno Fernandes, doesn't start the likes of Marcus Rashford. He plays that 4-2-2-2 formation, which is really unpopular, in football, especially in the UK. And I think they really struggled against Wolves. It was not a very quality Wolves side. I think Wolves were crap today, by the way, but they deserved the win. I mean, they were the better side, and finally they got the 3 points. So this is how the two teams started. Let's look at the lineups. Wolves started with Jose Sarr in goal, Kilman, Cody, and Size, in a back three. They played a midfield. It's a midfield five of Marshall, Nelson Semedo, Trincao, Ruben Neves, and Joe Martino, who eventually won the game, and he was man of the match, definitely. For me, I thought Ruben Neves had a very good first half, but in the second half, I think Joe Martino continued with a very good performance and finally won the game. Raul Jimenez, who was a little bit really off today in today's game, and then Daniel Podence, who I thought would have been the difference maker in the game, but he was so very blunt. So that is how they started in a 3-5-2 formation under Bruno Lage. And then Manchester United, very surprisingly, they played a 4-2-2 formation. I mean, it's very unpopular, But what I love about Ralf Rangnick is he's trying to teach something new, and he's so brave to start this 4-4-2 formation all the time, and he's not afraid of starting it everywhere, despite the fact that the team is not really getting up to the task, and we'll try to look at that. So David De Gea was in goal. Rafa Varane partnered Phil Jones, which is interesting because Jones unluckily gives away that header to Joe Martino, and Martino scores. But throughout the game, he was pretty decent. For a player who's not played in the Premier League for that long, you've got to give him some credit. He was really decent. A 96% ball passing accuracy from Phil Jones. I think United, yes, you will want someone to blame. You will want to get someone. You want to blame someone. You want to blame a factor that is a little bit less threatening, and you'll talk about Phil Jones. But I don't think he had a very poor game. Luke Shaw, who I thought was a little bit different. Silent, but really worked well in terms of stopping Raul Jimenez in that game. Scott McTominay played alongside Matic, Greenwood, Sancho, Cavani, who was so silent in this game, and Cristiano Ronaldo, who was the captain, but obviously very silent. So that is how Manchester United started off this game. And of course, along the way, the likes of Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, who I thought was a very big improvement in the game, also came on. But I think the talking points in this game, before we get into the statistics and the numbers, United were very confused, and they're very confused with what they are trying to do and what they are supposed to do. I think this is the difference between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United and Ralf Rangnick's Manchester United. Both of these teams are not good enough. They're really struggling. You can see that they're struggling. But the difference is under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, players played freely. I mean, they lost, they lost games, but you could see what they were trying to do. The players did understand what they were trying to do. In this game, I've seen Manchester United players really buffered. I think it's only Matic, honestly, it's only Matic that I saw very, very comfortable. The rest of the players really, really disorganized, very, very disorganized. That midfield area, like you'd see, I mean, let's move over to the board. If you look at that midfield area, it had to be Matic and Scott McTominay, and I think it's a masterclass for from Bruno Lage, because what he does, he packs the midfield 5 midfielders. Nelson Semedo is a right wing back playing as part of the midfield, and then you have the likes of Ruben Neves and Joe Martino, who really controlled that game to the fullest. They did whatever they could to control the game, and I think United really, really struggled. Matic and Scott McTominay, they really struggled, because I think that's what Wolves do right from last season. They'll control the game. They'll try to have that ball, and they absolutely did. We're going to look at the statistics of that game, and you'll see in the first half they had the better share of the ball. They didn't create really deadly chances, and actually what is surprising is United could have killed off this game if Bruno Fernandes comes onto the pitch and then he scores, because he gets a very, very clear chance, but he doesn't, and that leaves the game very, very open, and finally Wolves do get to score. Right, so first and foremost, let's look at the heat maps of this game. United there had 681 touches, and Wolves had 654 touches. So you can see it was a little bit, you could say balanced, right? You could say it was a little bit balanced. But in terms of statistics, that is where it goes very, very different. That is where United lost the game. I think in terms of statistics, they really, really, they were really, left behind. Wolves, again, not a masterclass, right? Not a masterclass from Wolves, but I think they were just the better side. I mean, that is all you could do. So if you look at possession, Wolves at 48.5 and Manchester United at 51.5. And I think the 51.5 goes up, it goes up to 51.5 because when United concede a goal, they then try to come back in the game, they try to wake up, they try to find that equalizer and probably a winning goal, and they were so close. They were very, very close. In the 95th minute, they get a free kick, which I think is really, really a giveaway from Fabio Silva, because I'm looking at Phil Jones, and that is a goal. It's not even a goal scoring opportunity. He's trying to head the ball forward. He's outside the box. I don't know why he raises he's put there. He's trying to cost the game, cost the team, and putting his team under unnecessary pressure. But look, in terms of opposition, if you think about it, honestly, United were very, very poor in terms of getting that ball. And even when they had it, they couldn't keep it. That is the problem. Whenever they had the ball, you thought, okay, this is the time they can use it. But they even didn't try to keep it. They were so very, very poor. If you look at total shots, this is the difference. This is the difference. United had 9 shots on goal today. One, a free kick from Bruno Fernandes, which was a masterclass. I thought, the goalkeeper really, Jose Sa did very well. Also, Bruno Fernandes hitting the woodwork. Unlucky there. If he scores that goal, maybe the game changes. But I think those are the 2 clear-cut opportunities. And then Cristiano Ronaldo as well, scoring from an offside position. Those are the 3 chances you can really remember for Manchester United in this game. Wolves this season have only scored 16 times in 19 games. 16 times. That means they do not average a goal per 90. But what's interesting is that they've had 19 shots against Manchester United at the Old Trafford. There is no team this season that has done that. They had 15 shots on target. 15 shots in the game at half time at the Old Trafford. They're the only team to have done that, Right, the only team to have done that, and you can see they had 8 corners in the game. Manchester United and had only 3, and those 3 corners really didn't come from threatening actions. I think Wolves, to be fair, were the better side. But they were not better because they played well, and I've been really mourning about them, in this game. Because again, if you look at the rating, if I was to rate these players, in this game, man of the match, yes, I could give it to João Moutinho, and Ruben Neves. I could share it between those two. But the rest of the Wolves team was also very, very uncoordinated, especially in terms of going forward. We know their problems are really scoring goals. You had Raul Jimenez having a very, very bad game. Trincao in the second half completely anonymous. Portes was undecided. He picked up the ball all the time, in those very, very beautiful places, but creating something out of the ball, creating something important was actually a problem. I think Portes, I mean, if I'm to rate him, I'm gonna say he had an average game, because again, he's always picking up that ball, in dangerous areas. That is what he's very, very good at as a player. But again, he doesn't do anything with the ball. If you look at their midfield, I think that is where the battle has been lost between them and Manchester United. And it's so fair that a midfielder scores a goal for them. Because look, it's end to end. It is blunt. It is boring. It is ugly between United and Wolves. But Wolves are just better because when they had the ball, they kept it better. When they had the ball, they tried to create a little bit of danger, which in my case was not good enough against a team like Manchester United. But Ruben Neves and Moutinho have been a masterclass. They've been far, far better than Scott McTominay and Matic, and I think that is where it's better. But Moutinho gets that chance. It's at the edge of the box. You think Matic or McTominay, one of them should be there. None of them is there, and it's going to go to the back of the net, and finally it does. I mean, they just don't learn. Honestly, they don't learn. Because in the first half, you think about that Ruben Neves chance. It's from a corner, and it's a little bit far away for Ruben Neves. So maybe you do not blame any of Matic and McTominay. But I'm gonna question any of the defenders, especially those that are not going in there. Why is Ruben Neves having time to stop that ball? It's a masterclass of a control for him, and then he takes a very, very brilliant shot, and somehow David De Gea is there to the rescue. The same. It's almost the same scenario in the second half. I mean, it's down on the left. Shaw is taken on by Adama Traore. Who's for me really, really has a lot of clutter in his game. And then a cross comes in. Phil Jones heads it away. You expect at the edge of the box someone like McTominay or Matic should be clearing that ball. None of them does. And Moutinho stops it, controls it, hits it very well. I mean, it's hit well. There absolutely no chance. Now, it's now more pressure on Manchester United. Very, very much pressure on the team. They've really performed poorly. I think they performed poorly against Burnley, but because Burnley are hit and hope. Right? That is all they offer. They don't control the game. They don't try to control any aspects of the game. With Wolves, it's a very, very different story. And I think United will struggle against many clubs in the Premier League. Because right now, if you look at around 15 clubs in the Premier League, all of them will try to control the midfield. I mean, it's so permeable. It's so transparent. The way Wolves have been picking up the ball and just it's called marauding through the midfield. It's bad. It doesn't really look good. It leaves your back four really, really exposed. He's playing with two defensive midfielders, but literally he's playing with none. Because if you look at how Daniel Potence has been running, at Bissaka, changing those, changing those flanks, running at Bissaka, running at Shaw, freely without any interceptions from Matiko McTominay, it's worrying. Because if you play a team like Manchester City, at this moment, it's going to be 5-0. It's going to be 6-0. You can't afford to offer those spaces. And I think the reason United are like this is they're having a new manager. And the manager they have, I think he's been tasked with the role, create for us an identity. That is the role of Ralf Rangnick. Right, he might eventually take on the team, after his interim period. But that is the role he's been given. Do create a brand of football, create an identity for this Manchester United side, because many of them believe, and I think it's true, that Solskjaer lacked an identity. He lacked, a style of play. He lacked how to organize this talent that he is. But in the process of assembling, because again, Ralf Rangnick, what he's trying to do is very, very visible, but it's so hard. It's like that tiny drop of oil in a sea. It's so difficult to see, right? But I mean, tactically, it is visible. He's trying to create a Manchester United that is free on the ball, that just love what they do, that can create chances, that can do whatever they want. But at the moment, it is so hard, and time is running out. It is now 19 games. They have 19 games to go. So probably, I think what is interesting about it is in the next 19 games, you have City still, you have Liverpool still, you have Chelsea still, you have you have to play Arsenal still, you have to play Spurs, who are really better now under Conte. I think those are the 5 teams you can think about, and probably you might have to play Wolves, again. So out of those 19 games, you have those 7 or 8 games that are really going to give you a challenge. And right now, United are like a baby who's taking his first steps, trying to walk for the first time. They're gonna fall, they're gonna stumble, and in the due process of stumbling, it's going to be so hard for them. But anyway, let me know what you thought about the game. I think look, today it's been a disaster from Ronaldo. It's been a disaster from Cavani. It's been a disaster from McTominay. It's been a disaster from every player. There's no one I can really blame. I think the defense was a little bit better, because look, apart from the prospect and fact that Wolves score very, very little and they are not lethal in front of goal, it could have been 5-0. It could have been 4-0. Wolves really control this game, and anyone who says they deserved it is right. Probably for me, why I was disappointed with them and I thought they didn't deserve, they only deserved a point, is literally they were the worst team in terms of execution. When United were through on goal, they had those chances, and you felt like they're going to do something. But Wolves, and you look at the nature of goal they've scored, it's a banger. I mean, at times it doesn't come any time. But anyway, Wolves winning this game. I mean, it's unfair not to give them credit, and also to speak about the importance of this game to them. So they've won the game. I think under Bruno Lage, what they've done is they've mastered the style of play. They have one problem. How do we score? They've only scored 16 goals this season. Come on, it's too little. It's definitely too little. But they're organized. You can see them. You can look at them. They're very organized as a team. They're very they know what they're trying to do. When you look at Moutinho and Ruben Neves, that kind of partnership that they have, they understand each other. They just control the game freely as really talented players. But and I think Wolves will be very happy with Bruno Lage, because when they started this season, I hope I could just see the table here. When they started this season, you thought the departure of Nuno Espirito Santo to Spurs, joining Spurs before the start of the season, was really going to affect them. But I think, yes, it did affect them. Yeah, it did affect them. But they have caught up very well. Listen, in their last 5 games, they have lost 2, they have won 2, and they have drawn 1. And what's interesting there is that they picked up 1 point less Okay, 2 points. Okay, one, two, three. I think it's three points. 3 points. Yeah. They picked up 3 points less than Manchester United, and they have played the same number of games. Right? They have 28 points in the in the season. They played 19 games. They have only scored. Actually, did I get my statistics wrong? They've only scored 14 times this season in 19 games, and they have conceded 14 times. So they literally do not have a goal difference, and that shows you what their game is all about. They score less and they really concede very, very little. Remember that game against Manchester City. City really struggling to score against them. Remember the game against Liverpool. Liverpool scoring very, very late and still against them. I think they should be happy. They're mid-table at the moment. They're leading the rest of clubs like Brighton, who have 27 points. Leicester City, who have 25 points with a game in hand. Crystal Palace, who have 23 points. Look, I think this season they're really, really doing well. Right, they're really, really doing well. 28 points, mid-table. There is nothing you're gonna ask for, of a manager more than that. If you're Wolves, I mean, all you want him to do is to give you, to give you that, mid-table position. So United, what is next for Manchester United? It's now do or die, because listen, you are 4 points of Arsenal, who are in top 4. Yes, you have a game in hand, and I think the beauty with that is that I think it is Brentford. Is it Brentford that you didn't play? The game that you didn't play was Brentford, wasn't it? Not an easy side, especially when you're playing like this. They can take advantage of you. But technically, United are 1 point off top 4, and they are literally on the same points as West Ham, and and then. But the gap between them and Spurs would be worrying, because Spurs have 2 games in hand. If they win those 2 games, then they'll be having 39 points. There'll be a difference of 8 points between them and Manchester United. That is really, really worrying. So United really need to pull up their stockings as soon as possible. But to the rivals around, it's a party. It's a party. To Arsenal, to Spurs, to West Ham, it's a party. Because again, United, they're dropping points. They lost that game against Newcastle. Was it 1-1? Did they win? I think it was 1-1, wasn't it? So they've dropped points against Newcastle, and they have dropped points against Wolves, right? So if you keep on dropping points like that against these miserable teams, mid-table teams, not really miserable, but mid-table teams, there's no guarantee that United can beat Arsenal again. There's no guarantee that you can beat Liverpool. There's no guarantee that you can beat Manchester City or Chelsea, in the second leg with the way United are playing. So they need to find, I think they need to find a way of winning games before they can find a way of entertaining the footballing world. I think that's what Ralph Rangnick is trying to do. It's difficult. We've seen it with clubs like Arsenal. It's so difficult, right? It's very, very difficult. You might need to go to the bottom of the sea. Arsenal have been there, and then crawl back up. We've seen Leicester City again. One of those teams that have managed to do it, but it's not that easy. It's not that easy. United, it ends at the Old Trafford, losing another game at home. 1 Wolves, 0 Manchester United. Let me know your thoughts in the comment box below. What did you make of that game? And do you think United's hopes for the top 4 are over, top 4? Because I think they're not. That they need to find a way desperately to start winning games. I will speak to you tomorrow in the transfer show.